a really weird time. And
Yeah, I could
my
tell you
mom went back
stories. I could
one
tell you
time.
stories.
I was 10 months old. And she, because I was,
American, actually.
I am born here. I was born in Hollywood. I am as American as it, right?
An appointment, have a dinner. Have you ever had any transaction recently?
I'm in a listing right now with Annalisa on a multifamily.
Okay.
I resurface, do weird things, and then I go back under, come back up. My stuff goes on the MLS after. Yeah, she's with EXP. She's wonderful and full-time, and we've been working together for years, and I'm really trying to get her over here. It's a very good idea. I can't believe I didn't think of it sooner. I just had to put on my lawyer brain. That's all I had to do. And because yesterday I had to be very creative anymore. I had to be doing that phone for a few hours.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you?
You know, our next Carson adventure. Yeah, it happened in Carson.
I am Jim Canino, and I am with AAA Inspection Group. And I am one of the preferred vendors here at TRG. I worked with some of you, I worked with a lot of you actually. And I just wanted to say thank you for coming, and I want to go over a few things with you today. First thing I want to talk about is, what is a seller's inspection? A seller inspection is, it's great for the seller, and the reason why is they're going to know it's great for you guys too, because they're going to know exactly what's wrong with the home before it gets put on the market. So they can either do the repairs, or they can offer a credit or offer nothing and just explain the report, and they can view the report. Any potential buyer will be able to view the report at the location when they're doing, let's say, an open house, or if they come to see the house, you can have the report ready, you can put it on an iPad or on a computer. They can see the videos and the pictures of what is wrong with the house, and then they can decide what they want to do. It'll cut down on anybody that wants to have an inspection, like a buyer who wants to have an inspection, have their own inspector come in, because it'll already be there. Everything will be there, and they'll be able to see everything that's wrong with the house. If they do want to get an inspection, I don't recommend giving the report to the other buyer, because that means their inspector is going to have a field day plus, and it's probably not going to be a plus, because I videoed the entire inspection from start to finish to make sure that I haven't missed anything. So the videos inside the report will explain exactly what's wrong with the property. It'll show in detail, and it'll show which room it is. It'll show the place and what the possible solution is. So my recommendation, does anybody mind if I sit down?
No, of course I am.
All right, getting old. There we go. So I would highly recommend, showing them the report, showing them what's wrong with it, and then you guys can negotiate at that point. If there is no negotiation, say it's as is. And I can also give you a price point. It's called the work scope. And the work scope is, good morning, Hawaii. The work scope is a price list of how much it would cost to either replace or repair the items found. And that can be added into the report. It's a separate thing, but you can also get it from the table of contents, and you can actually click it and show them this is what it would cost. And if you want to make a credit towards them, if you want to go half or whatever, I like to go a little bit higher than what it is. And the reason why is so for wiggle room and all that good stuff. So it'll avoid any type of wiggle room. You say, this is it, this is what it is. We'll go down this much, and you can go down at 2%, 3%, whatever it might be. So buyer's inspection. Now, all sellers think that they have the best house, and they think, and all buyers think that they can get anything, and they have proof for anything, and all this good stuff. So sellers are yellows, buyers are, well, I don't want to say, but a lot of them do lie. So, so sorry. There we go. Let me shut my camera. So on buyers, what they want to do is they want to get as much off the property. They want to get as much money back as they possibly can. And I don't recommend anybody fix anything. I don't recommend the sellers fixing anything because it can work out bad for the buyer, and it can work out bad for the seller if they did it wrong, if it wasn't a licensed contract. That's why a credit is always good to give back. So that's the best way of going. Nobody has to be involved, and they can do whatever they want after they take, possession of the home. That's the best way of doing it. We were just talking before. She had an appraiser that did some nefarious things, and I had an inspection where I went on where a couple of weeks later, the buyer's agent comes back to me and says, yeah, the appraiser called mold in the shower. It was like, you're in the desert. So why is there mold? And I saw that, and normally in the shower stall, when you're looking at mold, it's really nothing because it's black, it's okay. The black mold is not going to be an issue. Because black mold here is not, in California is not an issue. You're in a honey boo boo state like Louisiana, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, especially Florida. You can't even keep bread out more than a day without having mildew growing everywhere. So in Hemet, California, which is out there, and you're not going to find mold, and if there is mold, it's going to die rather quickly, right? So, and you only need 10% bleach and the rest water to make sure that mold is completely killed. So I'm going to explain that in detail right now. So when you guys go to a house, and you're showing a house or you're listing a house, you see some stuff, don't freak out over mold, because I'm a mold inspector. I test for mold and all this other stuff. And most of the time it's BS, Brussels sprouts. So I would highly recommend not pushing it onto your seller or your buyer. And the reason why is because it causes more of an issue if there's not an extended leak going on inside the house. So if the house has been empty, or let's say that people don't have a clue and they're clueless, and let's say there's a slab leak, or let's say there's some sort of a leak and they don't feel the warmth on their feet for a slab leak, and they don't, see their water bill going up, and they don't see their meter going constantly, or your water running, and they're clueless, then, you might have some issues with mold, but it's easily cleared up. It's not something that's going to cost $20,000 or $30,000. Mold to clear up, you can't clean it, you have to kill it. So you need always 10% bleach, and you can't go higher than 10% bleach. You always have to go 10%. You can't go lower either. So 10% bleach and the rest water in a metal insect sprayer. You put the bleach in, depending on the size of your, you figure out the 10%, find out what the gallons are on that sprayer, and then you divide it accordingly. And then 10% bleach, you put it inside. I'm not ignoring you, but they're way prettier. So including Keith. I'm not pretty.
Oh,
You're a pretty nice person. But anyway, so anywho, 10% bleach, the rest water, you pump it up. And first you want to do is dry the area out wherever the mold is. So you can put fans on there. You don't have to rent expensive fans. Regular household fans will work. Just keep it on there constantly. You also want to take away the infected area. So if it's a piece of drywall and it's behind the drywall, you want to cut the drywall out. You want to put the fans in there. It normally takes anywhere from 24 to 48 to 72 hours tops for it to dry out. Okay, and once it does dry out, you want to scrape that mold off. After you scrape the mold off, you're going to want to cover, you want to bleach it after you spray it. You want to do the spray, the 10% bleach with the rest water. Spray it. Make sure you cover that area out, cover it all up. Keep it there for 72 hours. Take it off. You want to vacuum away all the dead mold, or brush it away, whatever you want to do. You want to respray it again. Then you want to put your moisture barrier, which can be roofing paper is good, anything. like that would be fantastic. Styrofoam, not really styrofoam, I don't like styrofoam. But roofing paper, any type of a moisture barrier, even that Flex Seal, if they sell, where you spray it on, that's perfect. Then you want to re-insulate the area. After you re-insulate the area, you want to put 5/8 drywall. And then you want to cover it up, make sure everything is good, but you have to keep it covered for 72 hours in order to make sure that it's completely dead. So that's the situation with mold. Asbestos, may or may not be if it's look. Asbestos was outlawed back in the 70s. Okay, great. Is it going to harm anybody? If you decided that you want to snort it or you want to scrape it, let it get into the area, because it's not what you can see, it's what you can't see. So if you start knocking it, and you start hammering it, and you start doing stuff, whatever not shown inside, wherever you can't see, that's what you're gonna have to worry about. So when it's on, let's say it's tape on ductwork, everybody says, oh, we found, other inspectors will say we found asbestos and the tape is asbestos. Yeah, he's got to call it out, but he also has to say that it's not really much of an issue because it's tape. I mean, unless you destroy the ductwork, it's not going to get into the area. And if it does, it's going to wind up there. Now, if it's insulated with, asbestos, you might want to take a sample of that. But tape, or even when you're looking at a flue pipe and you see that white insulated, it goes up on anything that's previous 1978. Yeah, it's probably going to be asbestos. Do you want to replace it? No, not at all. You want to get it tested? No, not at all. It's a waste of time and money for everybody. So my recommendation is don't do it. Just leave well enough alone unless they really want it. If they have kids in there, or if they have, and that they can get up into the attic and they can play and all this other stuff. Yeah, you want to get it taken care of. But that's costly. So, and if it's under $10,000, you want to do it without the homeowner's insurance. If it's anything over $10,000, you're going to do, because your insurance rates are going to go up about a third. Or they can cancel it in this day and age, with all the claims that they've had between fires, between this, between everything. It's going to go up. Good afternoon. How are you?
I made it.
There's some pizza there for you. So my recommendation is let it be, like the song says, just let it be. And if it's an issue with the buyer or the seller, then we can take a sample. We want everybody out of the house when we're taking the sample because we don't want anybody affected. And then we want everybody out of the house for at least 30 minutes. So if anything is in the air, it's gonna fall. And we're good. All right, so that takes care of the mold and that takes care of the asbestos. Let's talk about illegal rooms that, non-permitted rooms that we don't see that much in California, right? So
We're on our way to we don't need no stinking permits situation, so bring it, honey. Let's see.
Beers and
Yeah, in Egypt.
There you go. And then the city comes. And when the city comes.
Yes, his name is Andres. Andres, I have to go like this, right? Andres. Los Angeles. Yeah.
I met one with the same real name, but my real name is Giacomo, but I go by.
Oh, heavens.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Nice Jewish name. So
Yeah, right.
that's, yeah, but I go by James, Jim. I don't like James too much because I sound like a chauffeur, and I'm not willing to drive anybody around. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying. What was I saying? Okay. So
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I apologize.
Oh, no. I kind of lost train of thought. Where was I?
Unpermitted
I'm
rooms.
sorry?
The unpermitted.
Yeah, the unpermitted rooms. So anyway, the unpermitted rooms are not really the greatest thing because you don't know how they were built. You don't know how they were done. You don't know how they built it. You don't know if they did 18 inches on square. You don't know if they did 12 inches on square. You don't know if they did 24 inches. You have the slightest idea how to think. And I don't have my see-through vision anymore because I was struck with kryptonite. I can't do that anymore. So I can't see through the walls. I can't see through any of that. All right. So, and I don't want to destroy anything. All right. So I do not inspect unpermitted rooms. And the reason why is because I don't know what's behind it. I don't know who did it. And I don't want to be responsible for it. Because when they sue people, they just don't sue you
Oh,
guys.
no.
They sue everybody. And I've been sued. It cost me for a $290 inspection. It cost me $4,500. That's so wonderful. It was in Norco, and it was 3 years after. I was supposed to know that a leak was supposed to take place in the wall 3 years later.
Where was your crystal ball? That's your fault. That's on you, bro.
I should,
That's
better
on
put
you.
it on me
No.
because I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Whatever.
But they sued everybody, so I had to see an attorney, but I wound up suing the owner of the home because nobody found her reliable. Everybody wound up suing her. So
Jonathan.
karma took place, so was the artist. So, and that's what happened with her. And we all got on that back. But anyway, suing is not a good thing. So I would rather disclose than having to have some sort of an issue. And that's why in my agreement has gotten larger and larger and larger, just like, well, it states 16 pages for the RPA, but mine has gotten a little bit larger because of all the stupid rules in California and on the way this is a Sue happy. I would never even name my kids Sue after.
It's not a boy either?
I'm sorry?
Not a boy either?
Well, maybe
Make him tough.
if he had a man bun on his
You
head, I
make
would
him
change
tough,
his name
yeah.
to Sue.
Yeah,
but-
boy named Sue.
There you go. But yeah, so I don't believe in doing anything that, and I say I cannot inspect non-permitted areas and it's in my agreement. And I can't do it. I don't know what's behind there. I don't know if there's anything that's wrong. I don't want to get sued. You guys don't want to get sued. The brokers don't want to get sued. Nobody wants to be in court. And that's a beautiful thing. All right, so moving on from that. When you're looking at a home to a prospective buyer, or when you're trying to do a listing, there's certain things you want to look at. And if you're looking at a foundation wall, which is a stem wall, which is below the house, you have something called a screed tube most of the time, which is drainage for the walls and all that good stuff. So you want to take a look at the foundation wall, that little stem wall that's about 3 to 6 inches high, sometimes even higher. And you want to see if there's any type of step crack that's 1/8 of an inch or greater. 1/8 of an inch or greater, or you can put a dime in there and you can feed the house with money. That's what you call a money pit. So if you see something that's gapped, and then you see it on the other side of that wall where it's gapped, and then you have a drop in the flooring inside the house, then you know you might have some sort of a structural issue going on. And then you got to look up in, well, not you guys, but re-look up in the attic too to see if any truss or rafter boards have been damaged or have dropped. I just saw one last week where the truss in this house was like, I don't know, 9 years old. But the homeowner decided that he was going to, because he knew everything about building, because he's a computer guy, he's a computer engineer, so he's a contractor, right? He became a computer engineer. So he figured that he'd go up in the attic and he was gonna cut truss boards so he can fit other things in there to make storage work. Well, that kind of put a huge dip in the roof, and that kind of made the structure unstable in that area, which was a little bit dangerous. So I had to ask for a structural engineer for the buyer to hire a structural engineer to find out whether there's going to be an issue in the future. So the buyer got, and he says, yeah, I'm glad I spent the $900 because that $900 kind of saved me from buying this house because it created an after effect. And then with the movement of the earth that happened throughout the years, it's going to cause more effects. But you want to look at stem walls. You want to look at to see if there's a crack 1/8 of an inch or greater. Not if you have a raised foundation, that's going to be normal. That means one of the posts and piers in there is maybe not sitting right or it's slick or whatever. We're going to get to that in a minute. But when you look at the foundation wall, you want to see if there's cracks. You want to see if there's horizontal, you want to see verticals and horizontals. And then you want to see if there's any holes in there and if it goes through the other side. Sometimes these cracks can just be patched up, and that's an easy thing. Sometimes it can't. Maybe they had a slab leak that went too long and affected the foundation. Or maybe they didn't have gutters where they're supposed to. You see some deterioration on the exterior wall, which also affected the foundation as well. So if that takes place, you're gonna have some issues going on with foundation issues and all that good stuff, along with exterior walls. So if you see exterior walls that are wet, always wet, and it looks like that there's staining on there, you push it in and now it's soft. If the house is built in, let's say 1980s, like 89, 90, or 87 to 90, there was something called 86, I'm sorry, 86 to like 90, exterior insulated foam. That became illegal. Yeah, it became illegal because it was causing a lot of damage to the home, and they had to put like $1 million bonds on a lot of home, because a lot of home builders in the Southwest and in the West Coast, they were notorious for building cheap back in that time. So you're gonna find a lot of stud issues. You're gonna find a lot of, you don't find too much of them because most of them had to be removed. Every once in a while, you'll find it if somebody has not moved out of the house, they've been there from like day one, and they just didn't want to leave, they just didn't want to move, all that good stuff. So you might find it, then the way you can find out is you push on the stucco and it bounces back at you. Yeah, you probably have some sort of an issue like that. That's what eaves is. Exterior insulated foam. Look it up, Google it. I can send you information on it, whatever you need. I put a lot of information in my reports. It kind of looks like a mini Bible with all the these and the thous, but it'll tell you exactly what you're going to need to do, and your clients are going to need to know as well. So I like to teach them. All right, so that's going with the exterior walls, and that's going with the structural issues. If you're looking at a roof, and let's say it's 1950s or 1940s or 1960s, and now you start to see this this little skateboard ramp going on top of the roof. It's not a skateboard ramp. That means there's some sort of an issue going on. It could be one of three things. They didn't install the roof properly when they changed it, because a lot of people like to cut corners. Believe me, I'm cheap and I like to cut corners, but not on my house, because I have the perfect house in all of California. You didn't know that, but I'm just telling you. So it goes like this, right? And if it goes like this, that's not good. That means one of the rafters or one of the trusses is broken. We're going back to that because I want you to see what's going to be on. That's one of the reasons. The other reason why is because there could be water intrusion that took place in that one area and just sapped it through. Or you might have more than 3 layers of roofing material, and you might have a collapsed or a dry rotted. By the way, I can't talk about dry rot. I'll tell you why in a minute. The OSB board may be rotted out, and that might be causing, which means that whole area is going to have to probably be replaced. And that's a pita bread. So you might not want to, you might want to tell them this is what needs to be done beforehand, or this is what you might have to have done, and we're going to have an inspector take a look at it. And we might have the inspector take a look at it. When they do take a look at it, then you know what it's going to be. And I would, at that point, probably call for a certification, a roof certification. We'd rather have a roof certification than some nefarious roofing contracts that come out there and say, and there's a lot of really legitimate roofing contractors out there, but then you have the other side of the fence where they're not so good. But you want to get a reputable roofing contractor, go out there and do a roof search. They'll tell you how long. It's either going to be 2, 3, 5, 1 year, whatever it might be, or maybe 10 years, or who knows. But they'll tell you how long it might take before you're going to need a new roof, or that area to be replaced, or maybe I'm just going to need to certify this because the rest of it's good. So whatever it might be, it's better to have that, because if it goes before that, they're going to have to take care of it themselves. That's what they guarantee. So, and it's all in contract. So I recommend getting a roof certification if there's some sort of an issue. So,
Do
yes.
you have anybody that you can recommend?
You know what, I really can't recommend anybody, and the reason why,
Yeah.
I don't like the under the table stuff where people say, hey, thanks for the referral, I'm gonna give you a fee. Go over here, forget about it. There you go. So, and I don't wanna do that, so, so I don't actually like to give referrals out to other people, and I just don't think it's ethical. So anyway, you get the roof certification, they come in there, they do it, and then if they need a roof replacement, then maybe you and the buyer can split, not you. Such a commission, maybe the seller can split with the buyer and they can go halvesies and all that good stuff. Let's go to plumbing. Plumbing is an interesting topic because plumbing is very costly sometimes, especially if it's caused leaks. I mentioned, I touched.
I've been thinking of becoming a plumber.
Oh,
sorry, you
seriously,
were
I
thinking
know, me
about
too,
becoming
actually. Yeah, me too. I mean,
Really?
well, no, but I just,
Oh.
yeah, I mean, it's just,
They make so much money, but you have to have the pants where it comes down when you're
Yeah,
bending over.
exactly, yeah, well, I'm working
After a
on
while,
it.
your butt's gonna get a cold.
No, well, that's the thing, is
Yeah.
I don't have the pants, but it's crazy, like me too, every week we've had the plumber out, we have roots and just all this.
Yeah, roots,
Oh, God, but I'm sure you'll cover that.
oh yeah, I'm definitely covering that because
Yeah.
I love the laws about, oak
Mhm.
trees. I love that. Those are so fun. Anyway, roots can cause a lot of damage to plumbing. In the San Fernando Valley, like in Sherman Oaks, you guys probably never go out there, but in Sherman Oaks, there's a creek that's going under the land there. And that creek causes a lot of issues. Structurally, it causes a lot of old pipes to corrode a lot quicker and all this other stuff. Plus with the tree root issues that they have, because everybody wants that oak tree in the middle of their yard, or other trees that are that have lots of root issues. I don't like palms too much because palm trees, they go down and they spread like spiders, right? So I don't like those either. And once they attach to something, they like it. They said, okay, we have a new home. I'm just gonna wrap myself around this thing and I'm gonna pull up mine. So it makes it one with the house. So when you look at it, if you're opening, that's why I like to use a lot of water, and a lot of people get pissed off at me because I run a lot of water in the house. I mean, a lot of water. So I like to start it off in the beginning of the inspection, and I like to run it all the way through until, I'm pretty much almost done with the inspection. Most people, when they're using water in the house, when you're living in the home, maybe tops to maybe 2 hours a day, unless you're doing a lot of laundry. I don't know. If you're doing a lot of laundry, maybe 2.5, right? Or 3, who knows? But you don't run it all the time straight for a couple of hours or 3-4 hours. Yeah, look, the water bill is going to be a little bit higher, but I would rather know that something is coming back or something happened while I was there, so I can prove it and go, do the whole that, right? And make sure that there's not going to be an issue when the buyer comes into the house 30 days later or 45 days later, or whenever it's going to be, or you sold it to an investor and now the investor's pissed off at you because we had plumbing issues here. Why did your inspector call it out? And as long as I ran it and I know what I'm doing for the entire inspection, I know we're all going to be clear because it's going to come back at that time. If there's some sort of an issue, it's going to come back. If there's a clog, it's going to come. If I think you need to have a scope, we don't do that because we have to be licensed plumbers to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of inspectors do it. And they're also taking a huge risk because with that, they're going to have to offer a repair solution and they're going to have to want to do the repairs as well. If they're not a licensed plumber, that happened. Okay, I would not accept a repair from my inspector, even if he was licensed in it, because that's just not ethical. What costs more, the inspection or the plumbing job, right? So if you're going to have to change pipes, $5,000 to $10,000 to change pipes. Oh yeah, I got you on the inspection, but I'm going to give you a credit for that, a few $100s that you spent on the inspection. thanks, appreciate it. And a lot of times it doesn't need to be done because there's a lot of, not honest people in this world. So I would then call for a licensed plumber. Rescue router, I have not, and I don't like to talk bad about people. But the 3 jobs that went out there where the homeowner actually found a plumber and rescue router, the 3 different times, I go 3 times, and it's like, okay, they ripped you off here, this is where they ripped you off, and this is how they did. He talked him into a water heater with a sprinkler on top of the water heater. It's a water heater. Water is the word here, right? So you don't need a sprinkler. He's, oh yeah, just in case there's some sort of a fire. Really? Okay.
It's gonna spontaneously combust.
Yeah, it will, like
Right.
I do every so
Well, I
often.
was voted most likely to do that in high school.
I
actually.
love doing it. I love it. So I would not recommend rescue router. It wasn't a garage. Matter of fact, they actually, with permits, converted the garage into a laundry room and another little kitchen builder was with permits. So it was no longer a garage at all. They couldn't even classify it. He says, "Oh, you need a stand because it's in the garage." So the other people that he had recommended, he says, "Look," he says, "I'm going to call 3 or 4 different people." We got quotes. Nobody asked for a stand. Nobody did anything. So he had to change the water heater, and he put the flue pipe going up on the roof at roof level, like it was flat with the roof. And I'm like, oh, this is stupid. So it has to be 2 feet higher than any other vent stack within a 10-foot radius. That's what a flue vent has to be. It has to be 2 feet higher than any other vent stack up on the roof. So he didn't even put the gas line correctly, but we're gonna get into that in a minute. So what happened is that he said that there's asbestos, that's why we couldn't do it. That's why we couldn't raise it up. It wasn't asbestos. It was a pipe that was painted white. That's all, it was paint. That's all it was. So I told the guy, he says, okay, he's gonna come back out in a few days. He's gonna change everything that you said was wrong. And he did. And he says he's not gonna do it because he says it is, okay. So I told him, I says, is the guy there now? Put me on speaker. So I said, well, the guy is lying to you and he's trying to rip you off, and that stand, he needs to credit you for the stand. And this is the way it needs to be. And I'm gonna send you the rules via text on how high it needs to be. And he's gonna be responsible in case you guys die of carbon monoxide poisoning inside your house. So I said, the guy's an idiot. And I called him and he's like, right here. I said, I know he's right there. And I want him to know. I said, is this Francisco? He says, yes, it's Francisco. I said, we didn't ask for you to come out. When I talked to the guy, we talked to you on the phone, sent you it up. You weren't supposed to be out here. You're supposed to send somebody else. Why would I want to send somebody else who screwed everything up to begin with to come back out and fix it? It's like me going to a restaurant, pairing the food, and somebody, whatever, not cooked properly. Why would I want another dinner free? It's the same reason. So they had to get a supervisor out there. Anyway, the guy was wrong. That was first one. Second one, almost the same thing. They try to upcharge you for things that you don't need. Look, I know we went through a tough 2 years, almost 2.5 years. I get it. But it shouldn't have to be on the backs of everybody else that's working hard for them to even get it done. Whether you're a homeowner that's worth $1 or you're a homeowner that's worth $10 million, it doesn't matter. You do it the right way the first time. So anyway, I don't recommend Rescue Router. Every time I have dealings with them, they don't. Yes. Oh no, I'm good.
For sewer inspections, I only use a company that just do sewer inspections. They do not give any estimates
Good.
or anything, and I've used them for several years now. You get a nice video. You actually hear someone talking the whole way through, because sometimes when I have the listing, I get these sewer inspection videos, it's silent. I have no idea what I'm looking at. So,
My recommendation is pass them, on, pass that card on and see if Durf and Danny can make them.
I think they also have.
Vendor,
somebody.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe put them on as a, that's great, because that's the way it's supposed to be, you know.
They also mark.
That's right, there's
Where
markers in them.
where your sewer line is in case there is a problem, your plumber will know where it is. So they'll find covered, what do you call those? Vents,
Vents,
buried vents, that they've located several of them for my buyers. With the recommendation, they should have a plumber expose those vents because they
That's
should be
right.
buried.
that's exactly, they should never be buried.
Yeah,
The idea of a vent, plumbing
Exactly.
works by gravity. That's what plumbing is, how plumbing works. So the reason why the vent stacks, you don't want to cover those up on the roof, because air goes in, when you flush it, air goes in, it creates a suction, pulls everything down, right? That's why I'm not a big fan of low flow toilets, because it takes like 10 times sometimes to make everything go. So I would recommend, I can recommend you get high flow toilets, but nobody really likes them too much. A lot of people don't like them. But the vents creates air. That's why when you see a crushed vent, that was awesome, by the way. And that you just led me into my next reason for the vents. If you see a crushed vent up on the top, maybe a roofer went up there and he was replacing the roof and he by accident, or even a solar guy goes up. Anybody who walks on the roof can definitely cause damage to the roof. So the vent stacks, sometimes you find them crushed, you see them indentated. That means I can guarantee you're probably gonna have, in one of the rooms, wherever that vent is at, you can have poor drainage, poor flushing and all that good stuff. So you want to make sure the vent stacks are good. And those are easy to do. They remove that one and you put another one up there. It's great. So vents are very important. That's why it has to be a hot water heater vent has to be 2 feet higher than any other vent, because it can go into the house. Carbon dioxide go into the
They
home.
said 18 inches sticking out of the roof, but you say 2
It's
feet.
2
So
feet.
24.
Yeah, 24 inches
Okay.
is the rule.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can send you guys the rule on it if you like. So it's 24 inches is what it has to be of any other 10-foot radius, guys, 10-foot radius. So because you also have a ridge vent that's up on a lot of times you have a ridge vent, it's a vent for the attic and all that good stuff. So depending on what style roof you have and all that good stuff, that's why everything must be high. It's gonna be the highest thing. So anyway, getting to slab leaks. How do you check for a slab leak? Does anybody know? Let me tell you does anybody know what a slab leak is?
Slab. Like on the-
Underneath the pipes, a lot of times when you have slab on grade, which means it's not a raised foundation, it's slab on grade. Before they pour the cement, what they do is they grit everything out, and sometimes they have post-tension slab, which means it's rebar, and and you don't want to cut it because you'll be dead and the house will be in two, so you have two houses to sell now. So because you're splitting it in half. So yeah, it's a very dangerous thing to drill or cut or core in the garage. You don't want to do that. Or inside your house. So when you're looking at the house, you have pipes. And if it's not PEX, which I wish it was, because PEX is actually very good, comes with a manifold, can be located anywhere and replace the pipe, that's great. On copper pipes, on the other hand, that's a totally different story. In the summertime, when you have, let's say, the hot water heater up too high and not its proper spot, we have a line on your thermostat, and it should not be past that line. It's hot, very hot. You're not helping yourself. Number one, it's dangerous because the water can get up to 180, 200 degrees. You don't want that. So you want to keep it at that marker. Or if you like it a little cooler, then you go below that, but you never want to go higher. So underneath there, you have contraction, contracts and expands, contracts, expands. Especially in the summer months, As it gets hotter, it's gonna expand more. You're gonna get pinholes in the copper pipe or whatever type of pipe that you have. And then that's when you're gonna have an issue. Because it's so slow, and then that pinhole expands to another one. And then after a while, if you don't notice it, how are you gonna notice it? If you're walking with bare feet, you're gonna feel on the slab or on your flooring that the floor is very warm. Now, over the tile or over whatever you have on there, once it's gotten to that point, that means it's getting bad because you shouldn't feel it. You should only feel it on the slab. And that means that there's gonna be water on the slab as well, underneath the tile. So that water's gonna come up through the tile. You can have a puddle in front of wherever the water source is. So it's either gonna be kitchen or bathroom, right? That's where it's gonna be. And then you're gonna find water puddle outside as well where that area is, because if it's gotten bad, then it's gonna be outside, which means now your foundation will be affected as well. So water and foundation does not go well together. So my recommendation is, if you have a thermostat, like a thermometer, and it says for cement, they cost about $30, but it's well worth it. If you feel any warmth, you wanna take the temperature of that flooring, and you want to make sure that it's not in the rest of it. So let's say your current temperature, the ambient temperature of your home is let's say 74 degrees. Now your flooring in that area is, let's say 86 to 90. Yeah, you got to call a plumber at that point. And you want to shut the water off at the main. That's the pipe. It's either going to be in the garage or on the side of the house or in the front of the house. It's either going to be a knob or it's gonna be a ball valve, which is a lever. And you wanna shut that off. Never shut it off at the meter, because if you shut it off at the meter, if you break the meter, you own that meter, or you don't own it, you're just gonna pay them like you do own it. Okay, so, because it's very expensive, they're gonna charge you a lot of money for that meter, and every city is different. So it can range anywhere from $1,000 up to $8,000. So, and they won't turn your water on until that's kind of paid. So that's how you tell if you have a slab leak. Slab leaks are very dangerous. You want to make sure that, you get on top of it right away. You shut the water off, make sure that the water on. When the plumber comes out, they'll be able to find it. They'll be able to do a laser search, and they'll be able to find out exactly where it's at. The technology that they have today is, besides taking out the tile flooring and ruining that beautiful floor you just put on there like a week ago, and taking out that flooring and then drilling down, and then having to fix that pipe, it can be very expensive. So I recommend noticing it rather quickly rather than later, because you don't know how many pinholes you have. It could be running everywhere at that point, so you don't want to do that. Any questions from anybody so far?
I do have a question. When you were talking about, and thank you for putting like mold and asbestos and all that into perspective, because people freak out. They're like,
Yeah, they do.
"Ah."
It's BS.
Oh yeah, I had
A
a
lot of times
lawsuit
it's
up north
BS.
over mold, and we won, but it was so everything, and houses burning down for it and all that. But you were saying 10%, is that the mainstream strength or no?
That's the mainstream strength.
That is, that's
Yeah, yeah.
the laundry.
Yeah, well, that's, you can use laundry, you can use commercial, bleach is bleach.
Okay,
It doesn't matter, it's gonna kill it at 10%.
and then since asbestos isn't like as drama as we thought, like say, you know how it was a really good adhesive for the mastic
Yes,
and stuff, so say a piece of it like comes up because things get old, and is that make it friable, and can you encapsulate it like you would lead abatement?
yeah, you can actually. So what happens is when you have, let's say a piece of it comes off, it doesn't shatter, you're pretty much in good shape. So, because it's hard. And sometimes it works like China, where it just drops and just, right?
Hmm.
That's when you gotta worry a little bit. Make sure that you open up every room. And if, let's say, if you hear it drop, go in there. You don't wanna wear these paper masks that do nothing for anything, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. You don't wanna just use those. They don't even help colds. So anyway, you wanna get the ones that look like you're like the fly or the bee.
Oh, yeah, the one, yeah.
Yeah, they're expensive, but they're like $60. But it's well worth it because it covers your entire face. You want to wear goggles.
Oh,
You want
Lord.
you want to put earplugs into your ear so you don't hear your spouse screaming at you,
Yeah.
or the buyer screaming.
Yeah.
So, no, so you don't get anything going into any part of your body, so.
Oh, the
you-
orifices, you're talking,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you don't want anything
Yeah.
going inside your body. So you wearing the goggles that are flush with your face. If you have motorcycle glasses, then you want to use those, right? Those are the ones that you want to use.
My
Because
son,
it closes
my
the
son is-
entire eye and there's an insulator on that. And those work best. Also that mask, and it says on there, for asbestos use. So
that's
you'll
why.
see it. And you want to wear gloves, insulated gloves as well. You want to make sure that you're covered up. Because you don't know what's in the air. And then you want to open up all the windows and the doors, wherever it's at. And then you want to vacuum that entire area out and clean. It might,
So you don't encapsulate, you don't,
well, you can encapsulate it, absolutely, if it's in that one little area, but if
Yeah.
you drop further than that. Yeah, let's
then
say,
it's just a blowout.
yeah, then
Okay.
you, but I haven't seen any of those, to be honest with you, coming off, and I haven't seen any of those come, unless a plumber didn't do the right thing. And he needs a beat, no, I'm kidding. So-
Yeah, no, I used to sell a lot of turn of the century houses,
Oh.
so it was just like asbestos.
Asbestos.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
versatile, I mean,
Yeah.
I understand, but yeah.
The best insulator you can possibly find, they haven't found anything better than that, you know. Cellulose, I hate because it's baking soda, it's made out of it. So anyway, so you don't wanna, you can encapsulate, you can tent it out, you can tent that whole area out. But that's gonna be a waste because by the time you do that, it's probably gonna be gone by then. You can do it, if it wound up in different areas, you can do that.
Thank you.
No, it's okay. Any,
Yeah, earlier you mentioned about the sellers getting a physical inspection. And did you say you don't show that to the buyers?
no, you do show it to the buyers. That's going to be
You don't show
the,
it to the buyer's
Lender.
inspector.
yeah, you don't want to show it to the buyer's inspector. Exactly. You don't want to show it to, yeah. You want to have it out.
Yeah.
You want to have the report out, whether on your computer or your iPad or whatever source you have, your phone, whatever you want them to see it. And you want to go through the entire report. And if you have a buyer that's there and you want to, let me have you speak to the inspector. Call me up. I don't care what time it is. I don't care what I'm doing. I'll just excuse myself for the 5 minutes and just talk to them, and I'll be happy to go over everything with them. I don't like to kill deals, to be honest with you. I'm not into that, okay? It's very difficult to get a deal approved, but if there's major issues with a home, look, the house has been there for like the turn of the century or mid-century. It's been there for forever. You really think a house is gonna collapse? I mean, and people have been living there. If you have like weak flooring, there's solutions to that. That means post and pier, and it's not really that expensive. I kind of like crawl spaces for one thing, is everything's easy to get to. I mean, it's like right there in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so to kill a deal over something stupid is really, no.
So when would you suggest to show that to a buyer?
Yeah, so when I would
Before
suggest
or
showing,
after their inspection?
no, way before. You don't want them to get an inspection. You want to say, look, we already got an inspection on it. Nobody wants to spend any more money, right? I mean, they have to. When you're buying a home, you have appraisal, you got this cost, you got that cost, you got everything else. You have costs coming out took us. So you don't want any more costs, and you don't want any more problems from any other inspector who wants to show off, like I'm doing now. Wants to show off and wants to inflate himself, kill a deal so he can get another inspection out of it. Which a lot of
That's true.
inspectors do that. Hey, look, do it the first time, get it done, you're gonna get another one. Whether it's from them or you're gonna get another, who cares if shouldn't have to do that. And I know it's easy peasy, oh, we have this, no.
Well, it gives more credibility to the seller.
It does.
But there's
completely.
still the buyer. I mean, if
Oh,
I was to
right.
represent the buyer
Yes,
and the seller shows me that, I'm still gonna suggest to, obviously.
they
to
always
my
have to.
buyer,
You
Right.
have to,
do
yeah.
well.
Right, they always recommend it, but a lot of buyers saying, you know what? Let me see the report, let me see how thorough it is, and that's why in the seller's inspection, I mean, to be honest with you, I like to go every little thing, I mean, not cosmetic things, but I like to call every little thing out because they can make up their mind and I can put the importance of what is what. This is not so important, this is important, this isn't that important, it's important. And I can put a rating on it on each and every single one of them, that I can go over the report with the prospective buyer with them, and I can say, or I can even meet them. If I'm in the air, I'll be happy to come and meet them. And say, are you gonna be in this area at this certain time? This is when, you know, the buyer's gonna be in. Great, let me see if I can, and I'll come out and I'll talk to the buyer and I'll be happy to show it to them. I'll say, this is what I found, this is what I recommend. This and the end. I'm not gonna kill the deal for you, but I'm gonna tell them the truth. I'm gonna tell them in a way that it's not gonna really scare the living daylights out, because there's no reason to do that, right? So unless there's a major issue, then you really shouldn't be listing on it listed after they fix the issues. But if you're looking at the posts and the peers underneath, let's say the posts are rotted out. I can say I recommend a termite inspection because I cannot tell you what the damage is. If I know it's termite, I can't mention termite. This, yeah, it's a law in California. I can't tell you about termites. Anyway, that's, I'm sorry, there's something.
Well, I think it's important nowadays that the rates are changing, because I think as far as right now, the market has been so good for sellers
Yes,
that they really didn't need to do anything for a buyer to buy. But right now that the rates are changing, we're gonna have another market,
that's
a
right.
different market.
Completely.
So now the Powerball is gonna go to the other side.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So
Absolutely
slowly,
right.
but going there.
And you're gonna see a lot of REOs, you're gonna see NODs, you're gonna see a lot of them, right? Yeah, so you're gonna see a lot of notice of default coming
So
through.
sellers will
Yeah.
have to
right.
be more,
More, yeah, so-
they'll have to present a better product. Let's put it that way.
exactly. That's why in this time, like she had mentioned, in this time, that's why I wanted to talk more about sellers inspections today than buyers, because everybody knows buyers inspection. Everybody knows bad inspectors, everybody knows good inspectors, everybody knows, okay, mediocre, right? But telling the truth to the people in a way where it's not gonna scare them, and giving them solutions instead of saying horrible and calling out stupid stuff that doesn't need to be called out. If you notice on my reports, and a lot of you have seen my reports, I'll put fluff just to teach them, but I don't put, okay, I inspected the roof. If there's nothing wrong with the roof, I'm not gonna call anything out on the roof, which means there's nothing wrong with it, okay? And I'll say the inspection, at the time of inspection, the roof was satisfactory at the time of inspection, no major issues at all, right? And I'll put that on at the time of inspection. Because there's no rain in the last 72 hours or whatever, and couldn't tell. I'm not gonna put a garden hose to the roof and say, I want a leak, I'm not gonna do any of that, right? In Arizona, they actually do stuff like that. They'll put garden hoses to the roof to make sure that there's no, very rarely rains. So, I don't do stuff like that. So I'm gonna call out things that are wrong, not things that are good, so there's more reading for them, and they're gonna get confused, because a lot of people read on a different level. So I would rather just keep it, let's give the issues and nothing more. And then I'll say, this is how you're going to fix a small clog in a sink, vinegar, baking soda, boiling water. And I put that in all the reports, which is, it works great, by the way.
What is it for?
To unclog drains. You never
Baking
want to
soda?
use store-bought stuff. Store-bought stuff is garbage. That makes the plumber rich.
So baking soda?
Yeah, half a cup of vinegar.
Okay.
To 1 cup, depending on the size, half a cup, and then you want to put half a cup of baking soda in there. And then you want to clog the drain up with a rag as if it owed you money. And you want to keep it there for like 30 minutes. And then you want to take boiling water, not hot water. So you want to take an electric teapot.
I'm gonna have to
And
call
then
him
you wanna
back.
pour it
This
down
is
in
2
there.
days. Yeah, yeah. What's the number to call with this? My son needs to get this on
Baking
lock here.
soda. And that'll get rid of the hair and all that.
That'll get rid of all of
Because
that.
it like pushes it down, because baking soda and vinegar is the little explosion.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
why
I
you
do-
put the
yeah.
rag in there.
Yeah.
So or else you're gonna get the volcano and you're doing a science project.
But it's fun though to watch.
It is, it
Yeah,
is
it's
fun.
fun, but then it's over and
And then-
yeah.
So
My
my,
son blew up a bathtub when he was like 9 or 8. It was.
so my recommendation, once you pull it out, you put the thing in. If it didn't work the first time, it means you had a lot of hair, you just do it a second time, the second time you go like that.
So how much
It'll-
baking powder again?
Half a cup of the baking soda,
Uh-huh,
the baking, definitely like Arm and Hammer baking soda.
uh-huh.
And then
half
white
a-
vinegar, you don't want to put the.
Apple vinegar, but then we
yeah.
had a white vinegar, and a
White
half a
vinegar
cup of that too?
Yeah, you want to pay half a cup
So
of that
half
as
and
well.
half,
and
okay,
half.
okay, and then the hot water as much
And
as you
then
can,
what, 30 minutes later,
30 minutes later.
Yeah.
Hot water 30 minutes later.
yeah, 30 minutes later.
Okay.
Definitely want to do that. Let's talk about electricity.
Ah,
Yeah, it's a shocking conversation.
my neighbor's house burned down due to a bad electric inspection, and that's where the fireman died recently. That
Oh,
was,
did
that's
ya?
I was on my street. At my
Was it a
friend's house.
Zinsco or a Federal Pacific or?
I thought it was Terranova. I have to ask because what happened was he knew there was an issue. And the electrician came out that day, was at the box that day, and then boom, the whole thing. And then, of course, got out of hand, and then the fireman died. And
Some
then,
house parties.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, over on
Wow.
Terrapaca. That's where I live. Oh my gosh. And I know the owner because we're on the homeowners association together. And God, it was his mom's house. And he grew up in that house. He was the paper boy for the whole neighborhood. Like just heartbroken, just a freaking mess. And that fire station's right there. I mean, it was just awful, very sad, very unfortunate. And it goes back to the electrician. That's where it went back.
See,
So we're doing
and,
that
and,
now.
and that's what I'm talking about. When you take shortcuts
Very
because you
sensitive
want to
about
get the
that.
job done,
Very.
because you got another job. I would rather be late to my next inspection than to, and to be honest with you, I am late a lot of times for my inspections. And the reason why is because I'm not off of one. And because I literally like to call literally what I've seen, and I like to make sure that it's done. And I'm gonna go over that when I conclude on what type of inspection reports we have, because we have 2 types of inspection reports.
We do. I'm so sorry, all of you are being such good sports about having me here, and we need to go to our, we don't need no stinking permits situation. right now.
Oh, okay.
So can I have your email? I'll send you my email because
Yes.
I want the thing and I want to know about electric because, oh, sorry. Or do you have a card so I can? swap it out too?
They have one up in
Okay,
front.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
just ask for front, they'll be happy to give you.
Thank you so
And
much.
I'll give you and it's on my website on there as well.
Okay,
Oh, by the way, if anybody wants to
Sorry, guys.
wants to order an inspection, you can do it on my website. Once you go to my page at AAA
oh, okay.
inspectiongroup.com. Nobody puts the www in there anymore.
Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you. AAAinspectiongroup.com. It's not my phone, it's my watch. I gotta let it run through, it looks like.
All one-
talk to you.
All one word,
Yeah.
AAA instruction
Group.com.
group.com,
Yeah, inspection.
inspection,
Yeah, right, inspectiongroup.com.
okay.
All right, so you can go on there, you can scroll down, and then you can order the inspection from there. It'll show you where to do that. And then it's an easy way of doing it. And then we get notification, then we get it done right away. And then they send it over to you guys.
Okay.
And that's easy. Let's get to the electrical part. Electrical is one of the most serious items in your home. It can be very nice to you. It works like the ocean. It can be very nice or it can kill you.
Yeah.
So, and I don't tell that to the buyer like that. I explain to them about electricity. And I like them to watch what I'm doing. And I explain to them what each piece of that electrical panel is and how to touch it, how not to touch it. Because it can be extremely dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And the first thing I like to do is check the temperature of the electrical panel. And the reason why is once I put my hand, never the left hand, it's always going to be the right hand, the back of my right hand, touching it while I'm holding my belt. And the reason why is because if the hair sticks up, if your hair sticks up, that means there's a loose wire someplace. And you don't want to grab it, so that's why I'm not going like this, because you're gonna hold on to anything, it's gonna stick to it. Okay, you don't want that. So you wanna go like this and have it hit you in the head. And which is, I'd rather get hit in the head by me. So anyway, so that's what you do. And then once you find out that there's no issue with it, or you can use a ticker, but I rather the hand unless the hair goes. People are like, oh, wow. So once you do that, then you can open up the panel safely. And then the first thing you have, the outer panel of the electrical panel is called the outer dead face panel. Outer dead face panel. And there's a reason why they call it a dead face panel. All right, and then exactly what it says. Then the inside, if there's no plate on the inside, that's very dangerous, because it needs to be an inner dead face panel. That's the one where it's got the labeling and identification of everything. So you want to have an outer dead face panel and an inner
You said dead face?
dead face.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Inner and outer and inner dead face panel.
Okay.
And then you want to take temperature of the inner and all the circuit breakers. That's what I do. I take the temperature of the circuit breakers. And if anything is going higher than what the normal ambient temperature is, we got some sort of a problem. That means one of the circuit breakers may be overloaded. And that's when I pull out that panel. Inspectors are not really permitted to pull off the inner dead face panel. I like to do it because how are you going to tell what the wires look like, right? So if you don't know what the wires look like, it could be chewed up. That could be a fire issue. So some of the laws in the state of California are actually very stupid. Because if you don't know what the wiring looks like, and if you don't know if there's melted wires, you know if there's cloth wires, you don't know if there was rats that were in there or mice eating them up. Sometimes you find dead mice in there, or even a dead rat. I've seen that before. Yeah, that's a little disgusting.
They like to,
They like to nibble on the wires until, I like that even better. So.
that's why they leave off on the post.
I guess
That's why-
Because they like.
better than raid, huh?
That's right, that's exactly it.
Oh, my goodness.
I know, that's what they do.
It's sparkly. You gotta
I
see
think I think it's the senses that they,
Yeah, they chew on the wires, and once they hit that magic
Squirrels
one-
too, and squirrels are the same, they're rodents.
Squirrels, they're rodents. Yeah, I'm not a rodent kind of guy. So anyway, I don't eat rabbit, squirrel, even though I'm Italian, all the Italians, a lot of Italians eat squirrel. I'm like, really? You want to feed that to me? Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so I look at the wires, and a lot of times there's two wires on one circuit breaker. Then when you look at the bonding of the panel itself, which means you have the neutral wire, which is white. You have the black or the red, which is going to be hot. And you need one wire on one circuit breaker. You don't need a white one on there. That's a no-no. You need the black or the red wire on the circuit breaker itself. And if you have two, or sometimes three, I've seen 2 and 3 of them. Not good. So what I do is, I mentioned that how I put it in the video, and I show them the temperature of it. I put that in my video as well. So anyway, once you see all that, then you call it out. You need one wire for the bonding of it. You want to make sure that everything is grounded before you even touch the panel. I forgot to say, if the panel is actually grounded. And that should go to either a ground rod or a metal post, or like gas pipe would work great. And I just had this issue the other day. The electrical panel has to be 3 feet away from the meter itself, 3 feet away. You can't have it like right underneath the electrical panel. That's a huge safety issue. Gas and electricity does not match. They don't mix. So that's, if there's ever a gas leak and there's a short or whatever inside the panel, it's gonna be a mess, all right? So you don't wanna do that. So once I look at the wires and I make sure that they're not chewed up, and I make sure that the wiring is not too much copper showing or too much aluminum showing and all that good stuff, then I move on and I check the temperatures of it. All right, so once that's all done, then I tell them exactly what's wrong with it. And I check the circuit breakers. I do it 5 times, not because I'm OCD. I am OCD. Not because I'm OCD. I am. No, I go back and forth 5 times. And I want to make sure I'm not going to get any sparks or any type of a short while I'm there. And I check each circuit breaker at the same time to make sure that they're not loose. I want to make sure nothing is loose. And I always do this with my right hand. And I always have somebody's there. I want to make sure they're 3 feet away from me either side. You need a 3-foot clearance from anybody coming next to you, because a lot of people like to touch and get up close and personal. And I don't want their energy and my energy merging when we get electrocuted. That's not going to be a good thing. That's not good.
That would not be good.
It would totally not be good. No. So electricity is very dangerous, and you want to make sure that if it's a newer box, if they had the electricity change, the electrical panel change, and it's an older home, the inside needs to match up to today's standards. So let's say it was recently changed, the electrical panel was recently changed, and they didn't change everything inside the house as well. That's a no-no. Okay, so now you have to have AFCI, which stands for Arc Fault Circuit Interrupters, so you need to have that. GFCIs, which is Ground Fault Circuit Interrupters. And then you need to have your regular 20 amp, 15 amp, all that good stuff. And yeah. So those are very important. So everything that, and exterior and interior, everything inside the house has to be upgraded. Everything on the exterior has to be upgraded. Okay, so once that's done, if you don't see any, and that means you can't have any more of those 2-prong outlets inside the house, because that was supposed to be done when they upgraded the panel. So once that's done, great, everything's fine. But I will call out that the interior was not, and the exterior was not upgraded to today's standards, and the panel was replaced, because I can tell by the serial number of the panel exactly that panel was replaced when it was made. So anyway, so that's that. Let's go to pools real quick, and then I want to talk about HVAC, and then we should be concluding at that point. All right, pools. Most pools, I think I mentioned this at one of the meetings out there where I was talking, but I like to bring it up again because summertime is coming, and not having a grounded pool is really a hot spot. That's not good, especially when you have kids. Don't want any tragedies coming this year, so I want to emphasize, you want to look for the ground wire, or you want to look at the pump and ask when they replace the pump for the pool equipment, because a lot of times they have an internal ground, which is great, which will bond the entire pool. But a lot of times, if it's an older equipment and there's no ground wire to it, ground wire it's either bare or green. It's going to be the green wire for your ground, or it's going to be copper. And it has to be either to a metal, or it has to be to a ground rod. And they can send you pictures of what it's supposed to look like. So that has to be done. You don't want to have a pool that's not grounded. You don't want to put your hands in the pool if the pool is on and there's no ground wire. You don't know what the ground wire is going to be looking like. You don't want that either, because that's very dangerous. Okay, because I'm going to lose a client, and I don't want to see you guys lose a client. That I'm just kidding. I don't want anybody to die. Is what I don't want. Well, it's very important that you guys look at that. SB 442, does anybody know what that is? SB 442 is the swimming pool regulations in the state of California and a lot of states. So in other words, everything's got to be according to, and I have to mention to the buyers, and I actually have what it says in the legal bill and what the approval of it. So it's written in all this legalese, so I can let you guys, I can send it to every single one of you guys, so you know. But SB 442 is the law, and it's called swimming pool protection. So the fences have to be a certain height and around the perimeter, and you have to have latches where kids are not able to climb up and open up the latches, and all that. Have to make everything hard for these kids. So even though you might have one that's going around the pool, great. Now you need one going around the house. it's costly, I know, but it's safety, right? So I believe if you have the pool, if you have it going inside the pool and they can't reach that latch, or there's like a safety thing where kids can't get through, I don't know why they need to have. Anyway, that's a little overkill, so, in my opinion. But the one going around the pool that's supposed to be there to begin with, that's fenced. That means it's good. It's high enough, everything's good. Why you need it coming all the way around is ridiculous. So that needs to be looked at as well. And I'll send you all guys, I'll send every one of you guys the SB 442, and I'll send that as a group message to everybody. And that'll be within the next couple of days, if you don't mind.
In case of that, if a buyer, if we have a listing that has, say we have a listing that has a pool, and they either have a removable fence or whatever kind of fence it is, do you suggest that the buyer signs off the part of the pool separately from
Yes.
everything and says it's okay, whatever fence
Yes,
is there, even if they don't have
absolutely.
kids, even if it's
Even if they don't
dog,
have kids, and
whatever?
if he signs off on it, you're free and clear.
You're clear,
You're
but that
clear.
has to be separate.
It's gotta be separate. Make sure you keep that forever.
Okay,
Yeah, forever, yeah.
because I mean, I don't know, even with dogs, you know, you don't know.
You don't know,
Going there.
yeah, and your thing, if he signs off on it, people, animals, anything at all that
And
gets
if
in there,
there's no fence, as
No
well,
fence.
signing them off.
signing them off, exactly.
Okay.
All right, so the last things I want to talk about now is HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning.
Mhm.
And I also want to talk about retaining walls, just came to my mind. Thank you.
I know a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Which do you want to hear first? So,
I don't think you want to hear mine, but go ahead.
Retaining walls, wood, timber fences. It's such a waste of money, because as soon as you install them, they start deteriorating and you're gonna get termites. You know, I can't talk about termites, but either you have them or you're gonna get them. But anyway, that's all I'm gonna say about termites. So I don't recommend wood, either block or vinyl works best. So at night, going around the perimeter of the house to make sure everything's high enough. All that good stuff. Anything that's loose, like the same thing with hand railing, anything that's loose, anything that doesn't have a hand railing, needs to have a hand railing, it's got more than 3 steps, and kids can jump off and get hurt, all that good stuff. If you have a property that looks so beautiful and you want to see the cliffside, but kids don't know anything. They think it's a nice hill. I'm just gonna go jump down this hill, and that's dangerous, right? So you need to have fencing around that, make sure kids can't get that, because that's gonna be called a safety issue. Or big drops also for the house. Okay, you don't want that either. So now I moved on from the retainer walls. I'm gonna go to HVAC real quick. Heating, ventilation, air conditioning. When you have a furnace or a heat pump, let's say, and which provides heat and air, and the gas line is going through the thermostat inside the furnace wall, it needs to be hard piped. That means black pipe coming through the furnace wall. It needs to be black pipe, or gray pipe is also good. Black is the best. When you're piping through, it has to be from the thermostat going through the furnace wall or the heat pump wall, with a rubber grommet attached to it for vibration, connected to the approved gas line, which is the yellow one, the thick yellow one that you see all the time, and with a ball valve on it. Okay, and that's very important. And then it needs to be connected that way. If it's like water heaters, a lot of times they have below the thermostat. It's got to be above the thermostat, right? Same thing with HVACs. Not only did it have the gas line has to be over it, not under it, but you also need a drip, the drip line, which is a tail extension of the gas pipe. Okay, and I've never seen anybody without a drip pipe have any problems. So I'm gonna put it that way. But now they require a drip line coming through, and just think it's kind of crazy. But anyway, so that's that.
That's part of the retrofit for. the
Yeah, that's part of
water tank, right?
retrofitting, that's
They want
correct.
that pipe.
Yeah, they do that pipe, that's exactly right. And if you're in the city of LA, you have to have the gas, the little disconnect emergency shut-off valve.
Yeah.
That's connected to the thing. Anyway, if a bird poops on it too hard, it's gonna stop the gas from flowing. So I would recommend, yeah. So anyway, I do like the emergency shut-off valves for the city of LA. If you have a very high earthquake area, that's great. It shuts it off and that's wonderful. And there's not gonna be any problem. But as far as like, where you're not gonna have too much earthquakes, not necessarily Riverside County and outside of LA, it's not really necessary. And that's it. The gas line, the furnace has to be, so the pipe comes through. And then through the furnace wall, there's a little round hole that it goes through. And it has to have a little rubber grommet going around it. So in case there's any type of vibration, it's not gonna cause any type of a leak. And that's why you can't have a flex line going from the thermostat through. Number one, you have, if there's a blowback of flames, like a rolling of flames coming back, that can burn the flex line, right? And it can make you compromise and it can crack. You're gonna have a bigger problem if the gas
That's why it
is.
has to be cast.
That's right, that's exactly right. You got it. And so that's what I wanted to mention. Anybody have any questions before we wrap this thing up?
Anybody has a good retrofitting company?
For earthquake?
Yeah.
I can't remember the company.
Because I used one for a listing that I had here in Harbor City. It was delayed and it was terrible. I can
Who are
tell you not
they?
to go
Who
there.
are they? What company is it?
I'll let you know the name, but it was terrible. They charged my client $1,500.
For retrofit?
Yeah.
Oh, can I mention something about retrofit?
Yes.
A lot of people say that they're certified and this and the other. No,
Because they didn't even sign. it.
yes, they,
They charged the money and they didn't want to sign the certificate.
smoke detectors, number one, I see these smoke detectors that were put up by these retrofitters right next to the fan. That's number one. It's right near the window. They put one in the kitchen. Can I give you the rule on smoke detectors real quick, if you don't mind, and carbon monoxide detectors?
Yeah.
All right. Carbon monoxide detectors, it should be between the hallway, between the bedrooms, like in between the bedrooms.
Mhm.
Should be, perfect spot is bed height. Bed height is perfect height. The higher it is, the worse it is. You're gonna have breakfast with Jesus. Okay, so you don't want to do that. All right, so bed height is where it should be, as low as possible. And then the other one, and just because it's plugged in, it still has a battery a lot of times, and the battery has to be replaced every time you change your clocks back. But they're signing a bill, so you don't have to change the clock back, so you're gonna have to put on your calendar 3 to 6 months. That's what you want to do. All right, so that's one. Number two, smoke detectors. It's a 412 rule, they call it. So let's say this is the ceiling, okay? And this is the wall. Okay, so you're gonna go 4 inches down, 4 inches, nothing more, nothing under 4 inches, nothing over 12 inches. So you don't want to have anything that's below. You don't have anything that's over. And you never, ever, ever in the corner. You never want anything in the corner, ever. That's a dead spot. So it's not gonna, you don't want it near a fan. And it's gotta be at least 10 feet from any exterior door or window. Any exterior door or window. So you don't want, yeah, that's, yeah, it's crazy.
How about above, the entry door?
Yeah, perfect. That's, if there's no window
No.
or vent, like right next to it. You don't want an air conditioning vent or heating vent right next to it, because that has to be 3 feet away. It has to be 3 feet away from any fan.
So that's the carbon monoxide you're talking about?
No, I'm
No,
not
smoke
talking smoke
detector.
detector. Yes,
Smoke
smoke
detector.
detector. Carbon monoxide detector has, and,
Okay.
yeah,
Bed level.
Okay.
Carbon
that's
monoxide.
right.
You know what? Then you don't want the combination smoke detector fire detector.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, you know what? I personally don't like the combination because,
We can't, what
Can't
do you do
tell.
with the height?
right, the height, that's exact, that's.
Because that one is, especially, I mean, in the city, they
Right.
tell us that it's better to do hardwire.
Yeah, hardwire is good.
And they has to be 3 feet away from the kitchen and in between
Right,
the bed.
Oh.
right. But if it's a combination, you got a problem. I don't like combinations because carbon monoxide detectors are very heavy gas. By the time it hits that part of the wall or
It's already
ceiling,
done.
you're already dead. Right, so you're not gonna have to worry about it, right? So,
So it's better just to buy the.
Yeah.
Bumps.
yeah, that's right. And then battery ones, like the 10-year lithium battery garbage that they have out,
Mhm.
10-year lithium
better.
battery are stupid.
Oh, really?
Oh, God, yeah, number one, I replaced all of mine because they started going out after anywhere between 8 months and 13 months. The
Yes.
10-year thing is a huge rip-off. Right, so, yeah,
But not too many people have outlets in their hallway
right,
where,
True.
that's right.
so that's the
So-
thought that came to my mind.
Right, so that's why you want to keep it, that's why they sell the battery one, you have to replace the battery every 3 months and test it. Make sure that they work. Also, carbon monoxide detector, 3 to 5 years, maximum life. Smoke detectors, 10 years below 10 years. You can't, that's why I unscrew them and I look at them and I see the date. When you unscrew the smoke detectors, the date's gonna be right on there.
Oh,
So, yeah.
what the day that it
Yeah,
expires.
what the date it expired, yeah. I don't like to go more than 3 years personally, because you don't know.
Right.
You really don't know. Kitty's good, Kittle, whatever that K thing, that's good. Kitty's good. Hardwire is good, but how you gonna hardwire? I mean, a lot of places don't have a hard wiring on the wall coming through. That means the plugins are good, but you wanna make sure that the batteries get replaced. The smoke detectors in every single bedroom, in the hallway, never in the kitchen, because we don't want to know how bad everybody cooks. So, and never near a window, 10 feet away from any operable window or door. And for the garage coming into the house, you need now a lot of people say, oh, this thin metal door, it's fire rated because I see the tag on there that somebody stapled on there the wrong way. So they actually stapled, yeah. But it was wood on the edge and then it was metal everywhere else. And I said, no, this isn't gonna cut it. The framing doesn't cut it either. So you have to look at the door frame. You have to say, okay, is this a fire rated, frame? And it's gotta be thick, it's gotta be, you'll see it. It's wider than any other door frame. And then for the door, it has to be, so 20-minute self-closing fire rated door. And there's gonna be a tag that's embedded inside the door. If you don't see any tag at all, you just see masonite, whatever the name of that company, and you see that and there's no rating on it, it's not a fire rated door, because every tag on that door has to be marked at 20-minute self-closing fire, a minimum of 20-minute self-closing fire rated door. So that has, you can't have any doggy doors, pet doors going in. You can't see any daylight underneath. You can't see any, any draft coming through, or like top, bottom sides, none of that. Especially if you have a water heater and a furnace right next to the entranceway to the interior of the home. So very thickness. So I'll send you what the thickness is, and I'll show you how a fire rated door works, and that has to be. So yeah.
Also, the door if you have an attached garage, it has to automatically.
If that's the attached garage,
Yeah.
yeah. So attached garage coming into the home, yeah. The occupancy door going from the garage, the attached garage into the house has to be a 20-minute self-closing fire rated door. If you have a detached garage, not needed. If it's a laundry room and then a garage, the only door that has to be a fire rated is the one going from the garage to the heated space into the laundry room or whatever room that is. Anything else doesn't need. Any questions?
Question, with the pool, so basically you don't have to have a gate around the pool, right? Especially if your buyer signs off on it,
Yeah,
you don't have to have a.
no, you don't, you gotta remember, when you own the house, it's your house, right?
Right.
That's, somebody tells you what to do in the house that you own,
Mhm.
Yeah, so, especially into your yard. So the buyer signs off on the house, if he signs off on the pool, and he says, yeah, that's why, even if you have an agreement, made up, that's great, or I can send you what the pool is, and then you can add signatures to that, and just have him sign off on it, that he's willing to take
The
that,
rest.
yeah, the risk, because you can't force anybody to do anything, they're over the age of 18. Or if they're 16 and they're married, or whatever, right? You can't force them to do anything. Any other questions?
No.
No?
That was
That's
good. Yeah. everything's-
I hope I didn't bore you.
You
No.
didn't.
'Cause I was bored myself.
But
It was a
thank you.
pleasure meeting you. Can I get everybody's name?
Michelle.
Michelle,
Marie.
yeah. I already.
Maricela.
What's your name, sir?
Keith,
Is that with a K?
yeah,
Keith. Keith. Okay, I'll remember that.
someday you will.
Someday I'll remember it.
Margo.
Martin, you're new to real estate, right? You just got your license about a year ago?
I know I've had it, but
43
I.
years ago.
No, him.
Oh,
Oh, 42. I know him, that's why. Yeah, he's a friend. Margo, thank you so much.
She's a very
Um,
nice woman.
Do you have a card? Anybody have
I'm
a
trying to see
card?
if I, well, probably
I
a
would
car.
appreciate it.
My card is very old for another agency, so.
Well, you look too young to have an old card. How'd you like
I'm not
that
young.
for a smoke? I'm sorry, I'm just kidding.
But I
You look very
ordered,
young.
ordered a new one, but
Oh, yeah. You know what?
I
Very beautiful
switch
picture.
it to,
You have my card?
I think I might have one or two of your
your
cards.
Do you
Or
need my
three.
card?
I'm sorry? You're in my
You know,
system,
'cause
you're in my
several
system.
people I know went there.
Yeah,
Do you have a card, sir?
it's very busy. It's rarely you can see a board. If you have any question, it's very big company, I don't like it.